Hello.
What's up, everybody? It's Erin.
And Nicole. This is Dude That's Fucked Up, the podcast. I wanted to do hello.
Like a Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello. Hello.
Why not?
You Virginia Doubtfire.
Oh, I want to rewatch that movie. I know a lot of it does not hold up.
I mean, the whole premise is insane, but
yeah.
Bless Robin Williams.
Yeah.
There's never going to be another.
No,
you know?
I know. Oh. Also, I was always so triggered by the beginning of that movie when he's like throwing the
birthday party
with all the
animals.
Yeah, the pet shop like inside, or the petting zoo inside and shit. I'm like, oh, and then she comes home and just absolutely loses it. I go,
yeah,
she's right.
Divorce.
Yeah,
she's right. Sally Field is right.
Yeah, this all makes sense. But you're so upset because you love Robin Williams and you're like, why is he doing this? Like, I remember watching it being like, no.
Oh.
Why can't he like be good?
Why can't he just be an adult?
Yeah.
As a child, I thought that too.
I was like, why is he?
It stressed me the fuck out.
I'm like,
no,
I know he's not going to be the one to clean this up.
Well, and it's funny because my dad is like, he's like he's a Disney dad, like,
yeah, my dad was that too.
Yeah. My mom was like the authority, and my dad was like, let's get Slurpees,
Yeah.
It's just like.
My dad like never did a dish. Like never. My dad did the dad stuff growing up. Like took out the trash or like.
Yeah, very gendered roles. My dad did dishes and stuff.
Oh, we did the dishes. To be fair,
and he'd cook every now and then.
My dad didn't cook. My dad barbecued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad always had his spaghetti night, and. Like he'd do it was always like, oh, Dad, when he do the Mr. Mom stuff, but it was just like,
oh, also a great movie.
Yeah, great movie. Yeah.
I guess
we grew up in the 80s and 90s. Okay,
yeah.
guys?
So this was the thing. I mean, to be fair, my dad commuted like 2 hours each way to work and stuff, and like wasn't home to do anything. But
my dad had to like go to work during the Watts riot. So
oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, so that's, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But to be also fair, my dad was not making crazy messes anywhere, or like, my dad wasn't the Mrs. Doubtfire Disney dad where it's like, no, we're going to go like have ice cream for dinner and then not do our homework and like drop out of school or whatever, like where then the mom's like totally exasperated. It was like normal stuff where my dad's just like, like we're all watching TV while my mom's cooking dinner or whatever.
Yeah. It was like, mom's gonna go, like have a ladies' night. Gonna go play bunco with her friends.
Yeah.
And it's me and Brett and Dad for the night, and he'd like let us watch like the Leprechaun, and there'd be like titties, and he'd be like, "Oh, whoops! I didn't know that was a thing." And it was just like, so I saw like my first fake titties when I was like probably like 8 years old. So
and you're like, oh,
and I watched the Leprechaun when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah,
like, so I'm the Leprechaun.
My dad probably watched us like 3 times without, we'd have a babysitter or I would babysit eventually. But like, I do remember my dad taking us to Burger King and going through the drive-thru. And then like, my dad never had like a bank card. Like my dad
always
never
cash.
Yeah. And like, he didn't have enough cash for the drive-thru at Burger King to buy us dinner. And we were like, Dad. And then we had to go fucking back to Blue Jay while he's like, can you hold this here? And he was all pissed, And then we like went to the ATM. He had to use his old ass ATM card. And this was like when debit cards were a thing. So it was like, why didn't he have one? I don't know. And then we went back and it was all cold and we were all like pissed. Yeah. And then of course the second my mom walks in the door, we're like, Dad took us to Burger King and he didn't have enough money.
Yeah. Just totally tattling on your dad. Dude, my dad frequently ran out of gas with me in the car.
Yes. Yeah,
he's always be like swerving on the road, like trying to shake the gas tank. I think he was like fucking with me like a lot of the time, but like there was a couple times where he's like, all right, Erin, I have to get out and push the car. Just steer up to the side here. And then I'd tell my mom, I'd be like, Mom, Dad ran out of gas and I had to steer the car into the gas station. And she'd be like, God damn it, Eddie. It's real.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's that's the generation of our youths.
Yeah. And I mean, kids are going to tell on you no matter what. Like, I didn't run out of gas at all. Like, the gas light came on and I was like, oh, shoot, I have to get gas when I was picking Jack up from school the other day. And I was like, I'm going to run out of gas. But I was like, not really going to run out of gas.
Yeah.
I had like
the
30
light
miles
just came
left.
on. Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, you're going to run out of gas. Oh no, what do we? And I'm like, there's like a million gas. I'm going to get gas.
I'm in control. I'm in charge.
Yeah. And so I got gas and then we like got home and he was like, Daddy, Mommy almost ran out of gas.
Fucker.
Yeah. So
shut the fuck up.
It's all coming back. It's all coming full circle. Yep.
But what a treat. Like, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but my very first day of school on the mountain was first grade. And we were moving up onto the mountain. We hadn't moved yet. My brother was just born like that July. So, you know, he was a tiny, tiny baby. And so my mom stayed with him and my dad and I went up and we spent the night at the Saddleback Inn.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The night before my first day of school.
Aww.
And for dinner, we went to 7-Eleven.
Got a hot dog.
Yeah, he let me pick out all the things I wanted. I made like chili nachos, you know, and I like had Cheetos and like candy, and we just sat on the bed watching TV, like eating this horrible dinner. And
have diarrhea for your first day of school.
My first day of first grade. They're all, why does this kid smell like chili cheese nachos in 7-Eleven?
Like, honey, you smell like old onions. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was great. I can like see myself in that room watching it was really cute. It was very special. But it was such like a
what a great memory. What a Mrs. Doubtfire memory.
It's a Mrs. Doubtfire memory that didn't harm anyone and was not the reason my parents later got divorced. Much later. Those were.
Oh my God.
I'm still unclear, honestly, but no. Yeah, I'm sure that was part of it.
My parents they played through the pain. Let me tell you, I think there was some pain. So
yeah, they made it.
They made it to the other side.
Oh my God.
And they just got back from a beautiful vacation, and I'm so jealous.
They went sexy, beautiful vacation.
Yeah, they went to Tahiti, and I'm like, damn, dude. I feel like, but also they were flying across the like Pacific Ocean, so
yeah, that's scary. You're just over water. Also, you're not going to want to take a plane anywhere after today's episode.
No, let us segue into today's episode with that. Yeah, I'm like, dude, I want to take a nice, sexy vacation, but like, you have to get on a flight somewhere if you want to go on a sexy vacation these days. And I read about this topic today, and I was like, wow, this is a lot.
It's the trauma. It has everything.
Oh my God.
A topic has everything.
Truly.
It has cockpits. It has suction. It has flight attendants on their knees.
It has a raw dogging flying experience. Okay. You guys, today we're talking about the British Airways flight. I don't remember the flight number.
5390.
5390. I almost said 5930.
5390.
Year of our Lord. We're talking about British Airways 5390. It was a flight that had some problems.
One major large problem.
Big time problem.
Yeah.
We're just gonna get into it.
Yeah.
So on June 10th, 1990, a British Airways flight, 5390, suddenly and explosively lost cabin pressure in the cockpit due to a goddamn windscreen panel popping off.
Oh.
Like just a full window in the cockpit. Bam, gone.
Window just opened.
You're not supposed to open a window when you're really high up in the air. I don't know if you know this, but
they didn't have those little stickers like hotels have that says "Do not open this window." They didn't have the sticker. That
must have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sudden loss of a whole ass window in the very front of the plane caused the captain to be partially sucked out of the plane, and it sent the plane into a sudden nosedive, as you can imagine. Dear listener, what if we told you that not only everyone on board this flight survived, but additionally, the poor captain, Timothy Lancaster, despite his body hanging out more than halfway out of a fucking airplane, commercial airliner going nearly 400 miles per hour at an altitude of over 17,000 feet, miraculously survived with shockingly fairly minor injuries, like relatively speaking.
I feel like hanging out of the plane isn't fair. He was like pancaked out of it. Like he was like fucking bug on a windshield.
No, that's
like he's not like hanging out of it. He's like forcefully being like pushed it.
Up against the nose of the plane.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so glad we're getting this out there now because listen, similar to the episode we did about with the bear that we talked about getting pushed off the fucking falls. Was that Niagara Falls or the Genesee Falls? Okay, Niagara Falls.
Genesee Falls.
Oh, Genesee Falls. Okay. Well, Sam Patch pushed his, pet bear. We said right away, Monster. The bear was fine. Nobody needs to stress about it. You know what? And like, we're not a suspense building podcast. We are not trying to edge you closer to trauma. We're not.
We're just hanging out here.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. So again, everything
we're talking about our Mrs. Doubtfire moments with our dads.
Yeah. Like this.
Then we happen to talk about a air disaster. Yeah. So how did we go from that to this? Well. We're hanging out.
Yeah, we're hanging out. We just, and like, this is the perfect scenario because this is a fucked up thing that happened, but everyone survived. So we get to make fun of it as much as we want because there's nothing bad happened. I mean, it happened. Bad stuff happened. But, all things considered, it could have been way worse.
It could have been really bad.
The understatement of the year.
Yeah, so we're just like letting you know. Yeah. Everybody survives.
Yeah.
But can you fucking imagine? Everyone survives thanks to the quick and selfless action of a flight attendant and the co-pilot. His fucking, I don't know how this man walks down the street because his balls are made of, I don't know, they're just massive.
Oh my God. It's funny because I watched a YouTube video and down in the comments someone wrote, I'm surprised this plane even got off the ground with all the balls on that plane. I was like,
I'm saying like these people just the nerves of steel under pressure, pun intended. Thanks to all these the flight crew, the co-pilot, everyone on board made it back to the ground safely.
Yeah.
And when I say I was sweating when I was reading the account of this story, it's insane. Okay, so let's get into it.
Okay, good, because I didn't even like read the exact details because I was leaving this for you. I'm glad you did because now I get to live. I'm like a listener of the pod right now. I'm gonna learn moment by moment.
Okay, exactly I read this. I read the accounting several times, different. Various sources.
Yeah.
As well as a first person accounting of it. And I watched reenactments and stuff. So I feel like I was fucking there almost. Okay,
great. I'm gonna kick back, drink
relax,
drink my gimlet out of my little goblet that I made.
What a gorgeous
bitch! I made this. Oh what? It has like.
I love that glaze.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Like blue and pink. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
You guys, if you do yourselves a favor and go onto YouTube right now and watch us, because you got to see this and subscribe. Look at this. Holy shit.
I know. It's little, but it's cool.
A Nicole Mackie original.
OMG.
Seth Rogen, eat your heart out with your little ceramic situation, okay?
I love it. All right, let's get into this.
Okay. The morning of Sunday, June 10th, 1990 was, of course, as most disaster movies start, like very cliche, beautiful and calm at the Birmingham airport. That's where we're setting the
Birmingham?
Birmingham. Mm-hmm. The Birmingham airport. British Airways Flight 5390 was scheduled to depart to Birmingham at 7:30 a.m. and it was headed for Malaga Airport in Spain.
Oh.
Malaga. Malaga? So people are getting on this flight to go on vacation. This is the beginning of summer. It's June. Everybody's like, we're going to, Malaga and getting
fun in the sun.
Fun in the sun.
We're going to drag our pasty asses from Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like a short flight, a hop, skip, and a jump to, greener pastures. Yeah. So a crew of 4 flight attendants for nearly a 3/4 filled flight of 81 passengers. Like I said, mostly on their way for vacay. So very chill, very relaxed flight. You know how it is when you get on one of those flights where everybody's going to Cabo or Vegas or Hawaii. Yeah. Everybody's psyched. They're ready to go on vacation, chilled out, ordering extra cocktails in the morning. They don't care.
Yeah, it's vacation mode.
You could still smoke on flights at this point in time, I think.
In the 90s?
Yeah, and on British Airways, yeah.
Oh my God. Like international darling, flight, babe.
Yeah, we're posh, babe.
We're posh, babes. We're from Birmingham. We're going to Malaga.
Going to Malaga. You guys ready? Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. So everybody's ready. They're on vacay. Captain Tim Lancaster and all 4 of the flight attendants, Simon Rogers, John Heward, Sue Prince, and Nigel Ogden, they'd all worked.
What a name.
Sue Prince. What a name. Yeah. They'd all worked together on many flights, on and off throughout the years. And the only member of the crew new to them was the co-pilot, Alistair Atchison. I'm loving all the alliteration here.
Yes, love. I love an alliterative name.
Great. Mm-hmm. This plane, the aircraft was a 43-ton BAC 111, which was known as the Jeep of the skies because it was a workhorse, very versatile, very reliable, and very easy to maintain.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a very British plane.
Yeah.
Very practical.
It'll get the job done.
It'll get the job done with a stiff upper lip. The flight, though, was a little delayed, but they finally took off and they were reaching their cruising altitude of 23,000 feet. They're heading out. The crew is wrapping up the safety presentation, and they're about to start the food service. So around 15 minutes into the flight, Nigel Ogden, one of the flight attendants, walks into the flight deck, into the cockpit to see if the captain and co-pilot want any tea. He's chatting them up. He's like, y'all want any tea? And they're like, yeah, sure. And as he turns to leave and he opens the door to the flight deck, there's a loud bang and the cabin fills with fog momentarily. The plane rapidly decompressed and the windscreen is gone. And the pilot, this is all happening simultaneously. And the pilot was sucked partially out of the window and the plane began to plummet. All happened. Boom, 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 boom.
When you say windscreen, you mean like the windshield.
The windshield, yeah.
Yeah, like the giant windshield.
I'm using the British
okay.
term since this is British Airways.
Yeah.
So this is from Nigel Ogden's account of the incident as it happened.
Oh my
he
God.
says,
Who's
quote,
he again? The flight attendant that was in there.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
Nigel Ogden is the flight attendant who went to go ask the pilot and the co-pilot, or the captain and the co-pilot, if they needed anything.
Roger that.
Or Roger that. 10-4. So Nigel says, quote, I whipped around and saw the front windscreen had disappeared and Tim, the pilot, was going out through it. He'd been sucked out of his seatbelt and all I could see were his legs. I jumped over the control column and grabbed him around the waist to avoid him going out completely. His shirt had been pulled off his back and his body was bent upwards, doubled over around the top of the aircraft. His legs were jammed forward, disconnecting the autopilot, and the flight door was resting on the controls, sending the plane hurtling down at nearly 650 kilometers per hour, which is 403 miles per hour, through some of the most congested skies in the world.
Oh my God. So not only did he get sucked out when the windshield got sucked off or whatever.
Got sucked off. Sucking it off.
Oh my God. So the door to the cockpit was ripped off and then jammed, like it like fell in and then
slammed
jammed.
into So
my God.
when the captain went out, started getting sucked out of the plane, out of the front of the plane, his body pushed onto the throttle. Yeah. And made it go faster and turned the autopilot off at the same time. And the door, like the flight attendant had the doorknob in his hand and he said it just ripped out of his hand and it got caught on the control panel. So everything is blocked. The pilot's going out of the window. He's like, oh shit, and he just like instinctually goes to grab the pilot as he sees all this happening. The whole thing just was complete chaos.
Oh my God.
Ogden continues in his account. He says, everything was being sucked out of the aircraft. Even an oxygen bottle that had been bolted down went flying and nearly knocked my head off. I was holding on for grim death, but I could feel myself being sucked out too. John, who's another one of the flight attendants, rushed in behind me and saw me disappearing, so he grabbed my trouser belt to stop me slipping further, then wrapped the captain's shoulder strap around me. Luckily, Alistair, the co-pilot, who was still wearing his safety harness from takeoff, otherwise he would have gone too. Can you even fucking imagine? So they're on takeoff, the pilots have a harness that goes over their shoulders and then buckles into their lap belt. It's not just a lap belt. Pilots have like a whole fucking 5-point harness that they wear. I'm assuming because of incidences like this. But the captain had taken his off like a few minutes into their ascent. But the
captain
co-pilot
that got sucked out.
Yeah, the captain that got sucked out. But the co-pilot had just kept his on, I think, because he was like doing a majority of the work on the ascent. So he like didn't have time to take it out. I don't know. Or that was just their routine. So he just.
This is why they say wear your seatbelt even when you remain seated. You don't need to take that shit off. If you're going pee, go pee, come back, put it back on.
I have been on too many flights where there's been sudden turbulence where you just are like, I would have just flown out of my goddamn seat if I wouldn't have had my seatbelt on. I'm not looking to get my ass like thrown up, tossed around like a fucking rag doll, okay?
Dude, that's how fucking Billy Mays died, dude. Like he hit, they hit turbulent air, and I think he hit his head really hard on the like cabin. I think maybe he was doing drugs also, but I think that was like it gave him a concussion, and then things went sideways. Okay, I'm pretty sure. I might have to fact check that, but yeah. No, he like was on a plane and hit turbulence, didn't have a seatbelt on, and like hit his head really hard and just right.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then he died like the next day. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. So those first few minutes though of everything happening with from the moment the windshield popped off to
and the captain gets sucked off.
The captain getting sucked out. Just absolute chaos. The flight deck door was like we said was blown inward onto the control console, blocking the throttle control and causing the aircraft to actually gain speed as it descended.
Oh my God. It basically like hit the accelerator.
Yeah.
The door wedged onto the gas pedal of the plane and fucking.
It's like in Final Destination 2
no.
or 3 maybe, where
I don't watch
they're
those.
by the logging truck and the water bottle gets stuck underneath the brake.
Yeah.
And they can't. Yeah, it's like that. I don't know.
My mom always said, don't drive with loose stuff around the car that could roll under the brake.
She watched Final Destination.
No, it was before that even.
Oh,
I feel like.
Well.
But that's why Final Destination is so creepy, because it's like things you actually think about.
Mm-hmm. I'm very scared
worst
of
case scenario.
So many things. Yeah.
Me too. Oh my God. I should start a list and make Final Destination 12 or whatever the next one is.
Thank you so much, Final Destination, for making me paranoid. But so the plane is rapidly like nosediving basically. Yeah. And all kinds of shit is just getting sucked out of the cockpit. Not just the captain, but documents, checklists, all kinds of debris from the passenger cabin. Like, just there's no door on the cabin anymore, so everything inside of the entire plane is just like coming out of the front of it.
And people can see in there.
People can see.
There's no door.
Yeah, there's no door. If you're in an aisle seat, you can see the plane crashing. Basically,
you could see just a butt, and then like
you could see
a butt and like the pants like whipping really fast. Probably.
Yeah, you see this. You see this poor man's loose skin just flapping up against the fucking windshield. Like, it is horrifying. And you see the flight attendant like holding on for dear life, and then another flight attendant holding on to him, and you're like, what in the fuck? We're dying.
You're like, is the captain getting his salad tossed by like someone behind him? Because it's just like legs and butt, but
something has gone horribly wrong.
Why is it so windy up there?
Yeah. So the passengers just see all of this going down. It's just so crazy. Also, on top of that, the plane, again, this is like a Jeep of the skies. So there's no oxygen masks. So when the plane lost cabin pressure, as it was rapidly descending, everybody's like gasping for breath because they're at like 17,000 feet. They're like 2 miles up in the sky. Like, it's fucked up. And
they didn't have masks, or they didn't have enough oxygen.
Both. You need at that altitude, the air is extremely thin.
No, but
there's no oxygen masks. They didn't pop. The oxygen masks didn't pop down.
Oh,
because there was none.
What?
Yeah, because this is the Jeep of the skies. It's very basic. It's very Spartan. It's very.
What do they even talk about in the safety demonstration then on this fucking plane? They're like,
fucking seatbelts
and
flotation devices.
They're like, I doubt they even had those. They're like, this is our safety presentation for today.
There's a roll bar above your head. If we, like.
Do y'all know how a seatbelt works? Doesn't matter. We don't have seatbelts on this plane, so.
I mean, that's probably why the windshield came off, because if it's a Jeep, then you can just
pop that shit off.
You pop the top off,
Yeah, we're going topless.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, the pilot, the co-pilot did have an oxygen mask, and he knew the rule. He was like, put this on before you help others. He knew he wasn't going to share it. He's like, if I'm going to land this plane, I need air going to my brain.
He needed the absolute most anything he could have working for him, he was taking it. So the plane's not equipped for oxygen on everybody aboard. So the co-pilot Atchison began a rapid emergency descent to reach an altitude with sufficient air pressure. So the fact that this man had the wherewithal to do that, like, crazy.
Great.
Then
make this man president. I just want to say that.
True. Anybody who could perform like this and under pressure is
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You were in a shitty situation and you made decision after decision that would like ultimately make this scenario end favorably. yes.
Sure.
Be my leader.
Well, we don't know what his politics are.
Yeah, he might be actually a real piece of shit, but
yeah.
who's to say? Or
I
maybe
don't know.
he's dead. I don't know.
No, this guy, he was
He's alive?
Is he? I think he's alive. He's a stand-up guy.
Okay.
Once he got it to an altitude that, everybody could breathe again, sort of, he re-engaged the autopilot. They pulled that fucking door off. They got everything as much as they could. They cleared the decks as all this was happening somehow. And he re-engaged the autopilot and broadcast a distress call. He was trying to broadcast a distress call to air traffic control, but he was unable to hear the response from the air traffic control because the wind noise was so intense. Because they're missing a fucking windshield.
And they're going how many miles per hour?
Like 400 miles per hour, if not faster, because he was trying to go as fast as he can. When you're. He's dive bombing basically through insane amounts of air traffic. This is the airspace is just packed with airplanes. Yeah. So he was like, the faster I go, the better chance I have to, avoid a midair collision. Basically, is his thought. And get to an altitude where there's not as many planes. So the plane went down, spiraling down at 80 feet per second before he could get the autopilot and the radio engaged. Oh my God. Eventually, Atchison was able to hear the clearance from air traffic control to make an emergency landing at Southampton Airport. And yeah, as he's trying to make contact with air traffic control, the other flight attendants were trying to keep their grip on the captain. This man is still hanging out of the fucking airplane. Simon Rogers, one of the flight attendants, took over holding the captain when Ogden became too exhausted from holding on to him. So he was relieved after a few minutes. And Simon Rogers strapped himself into the third pilot seat and hooked Captain Tim's feet over the back of the captain's seat and held onto his ankles.
Genius.
Yeah. So they were able to get a good grip on him.
Yeah.
And while Atchison was still working on getting control of the diving plane down, getting it to a proper altitude, he got it down to 11,000 feet in 2 minutes, and then got the speed down to 186 miles per hour from 400 miles per hour. So a market improvement, but still absolutely fucking chaos. And so again, from Ogden's account, by now Alistair, the co-pilot, was talking to air traffic control, who were taking him through the landing at Southampton Airport. All pilot training is done on the basis of 2 pilots, one to fly and one to do the emergency drill. But Alistair was alone with a crew he didn't know and relying on memory. Okay, so all the other crew had been working together. For years. Yeah. But the co-pilot, Alistair, he had never worked with any of the crew before, so he didn't know who. You know what I mean? He's just
yeah.
He's all alone, kind of. Doing this, and he's relying on memory, back to Ogden's account, because all the manuals and charts had blown away. He asked, I don't know how you're going to be thumbing through a fucking flight path.
Get out the flight Bible or whatever. It's we don't have time for that.
No,
you have to rely on memory.
Yeah. So he asked for a runway of 2,500 meters because he was worried, he needed a longer landing strip, because he was afraid the plane was really heavy, because they had just started their flight. They were 15 minutes into their flight, and so he was worried there was a lot of fuel on the plane, and he was worried it was too heavy to land so suddenly. He was worried a tire would burst or it would go off the runway. But all that Southampton could offer was the 1,800 meter landing strip. So while the other flight attendants were trying desperately.
Why? That's what they had. Like they're like, he's like, can I get 2,500 feet? They're like, or whatever, 2,500
best we could
meters.
do is 1,800.
They're like, that's a little long for us. Best we can do. That's weird. There must be like, it must be.
It was an emergency.
Maybe,
they wanted him done as soon as possible.
And also, like, maybe there was other planes already like on the runway getting ready to take off or whatever. Like maybe that's all they had to offer him in that moment.
Yeah.
Dang.
Beggars can't be choosy. I mean, so.
Yeah.
So while the other flight attendants were trying desperately to keep the captain inside of the plane to some sort of, or at least holding on to him.
Keep him ass in.
Yeah. Sue Prince, the lady flight attendant, was doing her best to reassure the passengers while also telling them to assume the brace position for a crash landing. Like, oh my God. Meanwhile, there's an entire fucking load of passengers in the plane. Yeah. And she's running around trying to help everybody get their seatbelts on and being like, Bless. It's okay, just sit down. It's we're gonna be okay. Like trying to keep them calm. Stiff upper lip. And she's incredibly like, they're somehow everybody's listening. I mean, what are you going to do in this situation?
Okay. Sue Prince, the name sounds like a Righteous Gemstones type character who's like the heiress of a Mary Kay type fortune. Like, I'm Sue Prince of Prince Cosmetics or whatever. It's like cosmetics for Jesus. Yeah. And then, it's Sue Prince.
Prince Jesus, the King of Kings.
Yes.
And then they're still going down. It's like, all in all, this takes about 20 minutes from the windshield disappearing and till they land to happen. But 20 minutes is a very long time to be dealing with.
Longest 20 minutes of a couple people's lives, namely the captain that's ass in. You know what I mean?
Truly. So at this point, though, the captain had kind of hooked around, like his body had kind of like swung to the side.
It's like slowly, like
it slowly, like he was like, he was
like straight up and down, hanging out, and then he's starting to kind of like
go a little
sideways.
Listing. Yeah, he's listening to the side. But when that happened, he started like hitting the side of the plane, and his face was like smacking on the window of the on the side window of the cockpit. This man just oh
my God,
I can't even imagine. I can't.
Not even for him. The people that are sitting in there watching his face just slap against the window, and you're like,
oh my God, this man is dead. They were like, he's dead.
Yeah, I'm holding a dead man.
There's no way. But they didn't want to let him go because they're afraid if they let him go, his body would get sucked into the engine.
It would, yeah.
Or it would hit the wing, and it would cause more catastrophic damage to the plane, like
for sure,
to the point where they couldn't land, or they were just fucked.
Or they're dead.
Yeah. This poor man was flopping around like a goddamn inflatable Halloween decoration in the wind.
Oh, no.
Or like one of those inflatable car, things.
God.
This poor man.
Oh my God. It's giving haunted horror funhouse. The blood splatter from his face, like hitting the windshield, is peak Halloween.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. Oh my God. There's pictures too, by the way. We should just say, like, there is a picture of like when they landed, and he's like,
yeah.
It's so fucked up.
Oh, poor guy. So
and there's blood.
And remember, the people in the plane can see all of this happening.
Yeah.
And how you fly again after this is after experiencing something like this is I don't even know how you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got their landing strip. They're ready. They're gonna land. The co-pilot is. I've ran. I've read the transcript of the co-pilot talking to air traffic control, and he's still so unfailingly polite, like so British, like saying please and thank you. Still,
what
not
a
like
decent human.
not like
president.
Yeah, not like, motherfucker, I'm landing this plane. I don't give a shit. Y'all better get a goddamn runway ready for me because this shit is, we're coming in hot.
I'm taking, how many things did he want? They're like, you get 1,800. He's like, no, I'm taking all 2,500 meters, bitch.
In the words of Ogden, again, from his personal account, quote, but in spite of everything, Alistair did the most amazing landing, what we call a greaser, completely smooth and stopping the aircraft only 3/4 of the way down the runway. There wasn't
He didn't even need all 1,800.
No,
he was like, watch
bitch,
this.
He's a pro. He's
all 1,800? Okay. I'll give you 12.
Yeah. He just crushed.
Yeah.
Ogden said there wasn't even any need to use the emergency chutes. We got all the passengers down the steps in an orderly fashion, although I did have to shout at a couple people who were trying to get their handbags from the lockers.
No. There's a man dying on our windshield. Please get out.
Gertrude, get the fuck off the plane. The whole time from...
Oh my God. They didn't even have cell phones at this point. Like,
no, this is 1990.
Yeah. Your traveler's checks can wait, Magda.
Yeah.
Get off. Yeah.
The whole time from the explosion to the landing had been 18 minutes, but it seemed like hours.
Oh my God.
Absolutely wild. So they made it. They made it to the ground.
Oh my God. That's insane. Okay. Well, we got to talk about Captain Timothy Lancaster. Because obviously that's not the end of his story.
He survived. Everybody was fine.
He survived. Everybody was fine. There wasn't even other. Oh no, I think the flight attendant who was holding him like strained a wrist or something. Like there was like minor injuries just from like
trying like the
excitement to save him, you know, and like doing everything they could. But Timothy Lancaster, the captain, suffered a fractured elbow, a touch of frostbite, and nothing else, essentially. Like, he had a fractured elbow, he had some frostbite, he had no other broken bones. His face, I guess, was like a little bloodied, you know?
Yeah,
but, like,
bruised. He was bruised and bloodied.
He was bruised. But that's, I mean, like, ultimately unscathed, except for, like, the experience of the most traumatic moment of his life.
Yeah.
I feel like if we could remember our own births, it's akin to what this man went through. You know what I mean? Like like the pressure.
I mean, think about a car accident you've been in, like a really bad car accident. I mean, I was in a pretty bad boat accident, and I was bruised head to toe, and I had a sprained ankle, and it wasn't even anything nearly close to what this was. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
I can't even, like, you're going 400 miles per hour, 17,000 feet up in the air, and you don't, and I mean, the fact that he had frostbite just is a testament to how fucking intense it was, but also that nothing else happened. I mean, God damn it.
I won't even have my window down on the freeway.
No, I know. You roll your window because like, it's too much wind.
I won't even have my window down if the speed limit where I'm at is like higher than 30. It gets too much. It's too loud. It's too windy.
I can't hear my podcast that I'm listening to.
Yeah. I'm like, this is a 50 mile per hour zone. We're on like a stretch of highway or whatever. I go, windows up. So this man, you know, obviously, and he didn't have a choice, to be fair, but, you know, okay, but I do want to say that Timothy's recollection of the incident is minimal. He didn't remember being conscious during those 20 minutes. Yeah, thank God. Like, I wouldn't want to remember that, you know? Like, that is, the only thing he remembered was the very first, like, moments of him getting sucked out. He felt that it was difficult to breathe, and he just told himself, keep breathing. Oh my God. Yeah, but he fully like blacked out.
He probably because he had minimal oxygen, and like you're right, like the trauma of
because you're not, you know, or are you getting too much oxygen? No, because the height. But the speed at which it's entering your nose, it's like a CPAP machine. Like it's forcing its way into your brain.
I don't even know if like it's sucking the. Have you ever been like, you know, in a wind tunnel or something where it's like you can't catch your breath because it's like, you know,
it's just too much.
It's too much. Yeah.
He did say too that he tried right when it was happening, like probably before he reminded himself to keep breathing. He was like shouting, like he was like shouting to the crew, like they know what's going on.
Like I'm outside the plane. You're like, bitch, we know. We're. Can you help me? Help.
Captain, we're aware that you're outside the plane. Your ass is in my face and you've dislocated my shoulder, you know? Yeah, so that's really all he remembers. And so there's not like, you know, not too much outside of everybody's like, you know, his injuries and like everybody's trauma, but like this was the worst that happened. And once everyone was ruled to be okay, and this wasn't the PR nightmare that like British Airways probably assumed it was going to be when they like when the plane pulled up and the captains like splattered on the outside of the front, you know, like they're like, oh fuck, we're going to have to deal with this. But they were like, no, everyone's fine. And they're like, oh cool, well I guess we better figure out what the fuck happened. So they started an investigation, and they found initially that according to maintenance logs, the captain facing windshield, so like there are multiple windshields on the outside of the plane. This was the very front one, like the one that spans across the captain's seats. It had been noted as needing a replacement in the maintenance log. And I'm not sure how urgent it was. Like, I think it was one of those things where like, hey, we need to replace this soon. I don't know if it was like super urgent. I'm not sure, but about 27 hours prior to this flight, the maintenance crew saw this note that was on like the night duty, and they're like, okay, like we'll take care of this tonight. This plane's going to be leaving in 27 hours. However, they were short staffed. So the maintenance night manager, like he was like the maintenance engineer and like a night shift guy. He's in charge. He's the manager. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I'll handle it. Like no worries. Put that on my plate. Unfortunately, it didn't go so well. So long story short, of the 90 screws that kept the original windshield in place, a good amount were damaged. Like I think like 81 of them or something. Like it's a pretty significant number of the screws were damaged from the tool that they used to remove them or from tightening them over time. Like they're old. Like everything just needed to be updated. Yeah, everything. They were stripped. No. So they needed to replace these screws. But when they initially looked, they didn't have the exact screws available and ready to put in place. So he's like, no worries, I'll go check out like storage or whatever. I'll go check out like my toolbox in the maintenance shed.
Yeah. And got a bunch of loose screws over here.
Yeah, he's like, let's see, he's like, I have a junk drawer at my desk and it has a bunch of screws in it. I'll go check that out. So he goes and he finds a bunch of screws, and upon looking at them, they look like they're the same. Like they look the same size. Everything's fine. So he grabs those. He goes back, he puts on the screws, everything he thinks is fine. Like he's putting them in and it feels like, okay, yeah, this feels right. However, they were 0.66 millimeters smaller than the screws that he had taken out of the windshield. And while he should have been able to catch this mistake, because actually the head of the screw was slightly smaller than the other ones, and he would have seen it when he finished putting it into the windshield compared to the old screws that he was able to use. They were just slightly smaller. They didn't sit like flush with the hole. They were like, there was a lot of room around them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
But the hangar he was in was a really tight workspace because it was raining. So like all the aircrafts, like everybody was inside working on stuff. So he wasn't able to use like a normal like rolling stairwell or whatever he would use. He had to like MacGyver some scaffolding. And so the angle at which he was like screwing this in, he couldn't see head on.
Oh, no.
That these were smaller. So that's the first thing. So now you're probably thinking, okay, but like wouldn't the 20,000 point quality check that like goes into every flight, you know, like there's insane amount of like clipboards and quality assurance that happens with every single flight that leaves the ground. Like wouldn't that catch something like this? And the answer would be yes, normally. However, in this case, the maintenance person reviewing this quality check was also the shift manager who was the guy that just did all this work.
Oh, no.
So he's like checking his own work.
This is what happens when you're short-staffed.
This is what happens when you're short-staffed and you don't have like proper regulations in place. And like there were so my first thought was like, why is the same man doing both jobs? It should be, you shouldn't be able to do that. You should have to swap with someone. You go check their work, they check yours, you know, like this should never happen. And apparently that was the way things operated on quote unquote vital parts of the plane. But this, the windshield, not considered vital. Not.
I think it should be.
Yeah, I think.
Hope they changed that policy.
I think they did, yeah. So ultimately, this was a failure of the maintenance engineer but also like the QA system and process that they had in place because he was assigned to check his own work. Like that's a big fucking no-no.
Yeah.
And yeah, he made some mistakes. And the way he operated was not how he should have operated. Like he should have ordered those screws. Someone else should have given them to him. Like that was a different department. And he was like, no, I'll just like go find some, essentially, which was not the way to.
I've got a jar on my desk that has, a few fucking quid in it and some of these screws. I think they fit. Yeah.
I'll just pop on over to the local Home Depot and get some the local Lowe's, and I'll get some, or whatever, however British people would say it, and I'll get some screws. It's also he had like a third opportunity to catch this because he did the work on, he like did this exact same process for a different plane, like literally hours later, like during the next day before this other one took off, he replaced the exact same windshield on the exact same type of plane, but someone had already preset his like workstation. It's like he was a doctor, so he had
he had the right screws.
Yeah, like the scalpel, is always set out for the doctor, and like the gloves and stuff, like all his stuff was already set out, and so he didn't even think about it.
I guess so when they do these kind of like FAA investigations, well, it's different everywhere, but I think it's pretty much across the board, like very, very, very in depth when it comes to any kind of flight that has issues, a catastrophic issue in flight. They have to go through a very, very intensive investigative process. So they found the reason they like know exactly what happened. They found the screws on the ground.
They found the
part,
windshield.
the windshield that had blown off. They found the screws, and they determined exactly, what the shortcomings of these screws were, 0.66 millimeters, because they found all of the debris from the plane. Yeah. And they were able to find exactly who was on duty that night. The work. This guy, and this man, he fucked up, but bless his heart, he was so devastated. He went to the captain's house to apologize in person. And of course, like the pilot was, after he got back from the hospital, like he came over, this manager, hat in hand, just totally devastated that this had happened, came to apologize in person to the captain. And my God. And the captain was like, my wife had to wait. No, he was very gracious and kind, but he's like, yeah, but my wife had to wait upstairs.
She was pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's so hard, but you could see why he thought he was doing the right thing by just getting the work done. But there's a reason that all these protocols are in place and why you have to go through the process that's established, especially for something like this. And honestly, like this, the like courses of action that they took after this were that they fixed a lot of these like what I would call loopholes in the process, so that things like this wouldn't happen again. You're like, from this point on, you weren't allowed to check your own work. You weren't allowed to
set your workstation like somebody else had to. There this is why there's like, you know, chains of command and like hierarchy and, you know, process, because so that like nothing like that, like, it seems redundant and like very over the top, but like can't have this fucking shit happen again.
No, it's wild.
Because it has happened again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't want to say, but it has. Okay. So in 2018, on Sichuan Airlines Flight 8633, with service to Lhasa Ganggar Airport from Chongqing Jiangbei International Airport in China. I just butchered those. I apologize. First Officer Xu was partially sucked out of the aircraft, even though he was wearing his fucking seatbelt. Again, they're wearing their seatbelts, although I guess Timothy wasn't wearing his seatbelt. He took his harness off. He had his lap belt, but his harness was off. So okay, I don't know how much of a seatbelt Officer Xu was wearing, but yeah. So and same thing happened. Like, got sucked out, but got caught like in the seatbelt, I think, and didn't go all the way out. And they had to do an emergency landing and whatnot. It was pretty much the same scenario. He got a little beat up. He sprained his wrist. He got like a shiner on his right eye. Like his head, you know, hit some shit on the way out. But that was pretty much it. And then one of the flight attendants, Zhu Yanwen, also suffered a wrist injury because they were trying to like help. But literally the entire remaining crew and the passengers remain unharmed physically. Wow. Mentally, all the harm. All the harm. So much harm. Oh my God. I can't even.
I don't know if I'd be able to fly again after something like this.
I know. No, oh my God. We'll have our final thoughts. I do want to say there's also incidents of explosive depressurization happening in the cabins, and there have been passengers that have been harmed and died from those events. Namely, 2 incidents in 2018 on Southwest flights, and normally I wouldn't call them out, but fuck them. Fuck Southwest. Not a fan.
They're a corporation. Don't like them. Their fucking boarding process is absolute chaos.
It's trash. I'm sorry. I can't pick a seat. I don't understand why. And you're going to charge me for all this shit. Like, and also they're trying to be funny.
This is America, okay? Come on.
I hate that they're an airline and they try to have a personality of a person. And not even that funny of a person. It's like, everybody, you're a fucking airline. You're a cheap-ass airline. Why don't you act like it?
Well, they do. Okay. Because that's some cheap. That is some fucking budget-ass behavior.
Yeah. Okay. That is, you're giving budget.
You're giving budget.
Yeah,
you're giving
and we don't
fucking
like it.
Spirit Airlines. Stop.
You're giving Spirit Airlines' older sister, who's maybe a little cuter, but still a whole fucking mess.
Yeah.
And we hate you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boo.
Anyway.
Tomato, tomato, boo.
You said you would never fly again, and that is my stance as well. Like, I don't think I could fly after something this traumatic.
Bitch, I'm taking the train. Bitch, I'm taking a fucking boat. Like, I can't.
It's so hard, though, because it's like, having been through this, you're statistically.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's where I would have to reframe it and be like, you know what? I almost went down on a plane. Like, I'm good for the rest of my life. I'll buy 6 lottery tickets. Like, you know.
But no, because statistically, you reset every flight. So technically, that's not even true. Because remember the like person who survived the Titanic only to like go down on the Britannic or whatever, like one of the sister ships. That shit, you'd think they'd be safe forever. And then they're like, I'm back on a boat. And then bad. Well, anyway, okay, Captain Timothy, back to him, today's hero. Although, is he? No, he's not the hero. Alistair is probably the hero. This guy,
Alistair and Ogden,
and the two flight attendants.
The flight attendant, all the entire crew,
the whole working crew on that flight.
Yeah.
He ended up going back to work less than 6 months later after this incident.
Well, if you get like knocked out and you don't remember shit, then yeah, sure, and you got to make a living.
He remembered the like very first moments.
Yeah,
he just wasn't. I mean,
Captain Tim.
Maybe that's not enough. Maybe.
Captain Tim.
Yeah. Maybe he like remembered the very first moments, but then he remembered like the first flight attendant jumping, like leaping into action and grabbing his ankles. And then he passed out. And so it's like a positive memory. I guess.
And he ended up on the ground and alive. Well, I think the flight attendant Ogden, who I have been quoting throughout.
Yeah. The second one. The one like relieved the first one, right?
No, the main one that like was holding on to the captain, the very first flight attendant who grabbed on.
Oh, okay.
Once he was relieved, he went and sat down for a minute to like catch his breath.
Yeah.
And like grabbed Sue Prince and was like, holy
me.
Fucking shit, the captain's dead. Like we're going down basically.
Oh
like
my God.
And was like he was bloody and like sweating and grabbed her and was just like, oh, like hugged her in front of all the passengers and everybody's like, holy fucking shit.
Oh.
And he was like, and then he got himself together and was like, all right, like gotta go like reassure the passengers and stuff. And he said he remembers going to the back of the plane and seeing a man with a baby on his lap being like, we're gonna die, aren't we? And he's like, no, we're not. We're not going to die. It's okay. And he's like, I was lying through my teeth. Like, yeah, I know.
Oh, my God.
And then he said when they landed, he cracked a couple jokes and then he burst into tears. Like, that was his reaction.
Yeah. And that probably happened for months after that. I think bursting into tears.
I think he eventually had to, like, quit because he had such gnarly PTSD from this event. There is there's a fantastic photo of all of them together in the hospital, like the entire crew of this flight. It's a great photo. They're just like in the hospital room with the captain, like gathered around his hospital bed, and they're just like hugging each other and holding onto each other, like. You go through this kind of trauma and like it
bonds you.
It bonds you, yeah. So.
Yeah.
But he had to retire, I think, because of this. So, but Captain Tim, he is
6 months later back at it. He's like, I got Sunday roast to put on the table.
That's right. And I think he like worked until like
2008.
Pretty recently. Yeah. So yeah,
he retired in 2008. No more incidents. Clean record after that. No butts in scenarios. And he I mean, we talked a little bit about this when we were bringing up this topic, but like I feel like if anyone could go back to work, it would be the captain, just because they know so much about flying and are so comfortable with airplanes. I think everyone else kind of working in that space, like the flight attendants and stuff, they just don't have the knowledge of like how things work. Maybe a little bit, I don't know like how much training they get, but they're not as savvy. And it's like, like I'm confident driving a car and like something happens in a car and it shakes you up, but then you're confident in driving a car. You've done it so much, like how a car works.
But statistically,
that's worse. Getting
into a car accident is like way higher. So
we should fly planes is what you're saying.
Yeah, because but I don't know. I want to talk to my grandpa about this. My grandpa is an aerospace consultant. So I want to know if he knows about this incident and like what his take is on it. And if I end up talking to him in the next like couple weeks, I will report back.
Nice. follow-up.
With an update, with a follow-up. So
I love it.
But yeah, this story, my God, my butthole was clenched the entire time I was reading about this in the fucking, air traffic control log. Everything about it. The reenactments even got me.
I can't believe he didn't break his back.
I can't believe he just didn't fucking
die.
go all the way out. It's
a
miracle.
I know.
Absolutely.
And
wild.
I can't believe this happened in 2018, almost exactly the same.
Oh my God.
Have we learned nothing? 2018.
Come on, aerospace.
Yeah. All right.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. You know what? My biggest takeaway from this is always keep your fucking seatbelts on, bitch.
Oh.
Permanente centavos, por favor.
Yeah. You know what? You know what fucking miffs me talking about this is all the shitty ass passengers who can't follow the rules, are complaining or whining this is your transportation. Shut the fuck up. Sit the fuck down.
This is a miracle that we're able to even have this fucking plane in the sky right now. First of all, you're getting to your your fucking shit ass destination, wherever that may be, in one piece. So sit down and shut the fuck up, Greg.
Oh my God. And act like you fucking been somewhere, okay? Mm-hmm. There's other people on this plane. That passenger shaming Instagram account with all the fucking feet. If someone
keep your fucking shoes on, okay? Keep your seatbelt on and your shoes on at all times. God,
if I see anyone's Pete. If I see anyone's feet on a plane ever, I'm saying this right now. Moving forward, I'm gonna fucking stab it. I will find something sharp and I will use this fucking lip pen. I will stab it. I won't even warn them. So don't have your naked feet around me on a plane, ma'am.
I'm saying bring back shame, okay? We need to bring shame back into
passenger shaming.
Shame. Yeah. Bring shame back into our culture. Bring it back into society. We need it, okay?
People are developing immunity to it or something. Something's going on.
Truly.
There's a potion. There's some sort of something that people are doing.
I'm casting spells to bring it back, okay?
Yeah. I am casting spells that people will feel the shame, and I will purposely shame you. Planes are so dirty, and people have their naked ass feet, and they go in the bathroom. I've seen people in socks come out of the fucking bathroom, and I'm like, there's just piss on the floor in here. There's not even floor. It's
in that case, you know what? I'm happy to have the windscreen fly off and suck him out of the plane.
Please, me.
God. Please, God.
Calgon, take me away.
Calgon, take me away. Oh, Lord Jesus. All right.
Oh, my God.
Hey, listen. I don't know. Just
everyone listening's probably the most chill people on airplanes. We don't have to worry about them.
No.
It's the people not listening.
Yeah. Just know that fucking windshield could fly off at any moment, and you don't want to be shoeless, okay?
Oh my God. The worst
You don't want your naked ass feet slapping people as you get sucked out of the fucking plane.
You don't want your corns hitting old ladies on your way out.
It's corn! I'm sorry.
Oh
okay.
My God. The worst part of this story, I have to say it, is that the pilot's shirt got sucked off. I was like,
this man's naked titties were out. We're out.
Those are some frostbitten tits.
Yeah, his tits and bits were frostbit.
Oh my God. He was frostbitten on those tittens. Oh my God. I was like, no. Because I know how I would feel if my shirt got ripped off. Mortified.
Yeah. I mean, this is 2022 and there's more lady pilots now than there has ever been before. If this happened.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't want my brethren's titties out. Come on.
Your what?
My brethren's. I'm not a lady pilot. They're not my brother. You know what I mean? I don't want my.
Also, they're not brethren. Isn't that a masculine?
I know.
Is that like brother? Oh, okay. You're Slytherin.
My clitorin.
Ooh, I love that because it's like a coven.
Mm-hmm. I don't want members of my coven's tits out.
I don't want members of my clitorin's tits out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love it.
Oh, well, I don't know. That's it.
Join my clitorin. We'll drink out of handmade goblets. All right.
All right. Well, everybody just remain seated. Keep your seatbelts fastened at all times. And keep your tray tables up and your seats in their upright position.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever, however it goes. And follow us on social media.
Ooh, at DTFU Podcast. All the platforms.
Go to our website, dtfupodcast.com. Shoot us a note. Send us a story. A topic suggestion. Whatever. Anything. We love it.
Yeah. We just got some great stories. It was like a rapid fire.
Really?
Yeah. They're like,
oh my God.
Here's some stories. And they were just like, bam, bam, bam. And it was like, oh my goodness. It was very
love
fun.
It.
Go to visit our Patreon.
Yeah, go to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/DTFU podcast. We have all kinds of tons and tons of literal years of bonus content on there. Yeah. If you are like reaching the end of your podcast listening experience, your binge, and you're like, I need more content, we have it on our Patreon. Yeah. Okay, bitch, a lot. There's a lot.
Oh, it's so much.
I don't even know how much.
It's raw and unfiltered. We're raw dogging it on our Patreon.
Yeah, because it's behind a paywall.
Yeah.
We don't care. I had a cough attack. I choked in my spit. Nicole didn't even fucking edit it out on our last bonus episode.
Yeah. I was like, it's short enough. I was like, if it was like 5 minutes, I would cut it out. But it's hey, we say we're raw. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right. And I'm lazy.
It's raw like poor Captain Tim's titties.
Oh my God, it's raw like poor Captain Tim's nips. Oh, after those 400 per mile winds and that little Jack Frost nibbling at your nips. 'Tis the season. All right.
God, all right, you guys, stay excellent to yourselves
and each other.
You know what I'm saying.
And yourselves, okay.
And yourselves.
And each other.
Everybody, just, God damn it. Don't be weird. Bye.
Bye.